Right, okay, so I think the last thing I'm going to do today is question 7, and I'm going to let you take a look at the other mini projects yourself. And I want to do this one because we're going to cover a concept that we haven't encountered yet, and that is dictionaries, which I'm actually going to cover in a bit more detail next week. But I kind of like this exercise. Yeah, I'm going to give you a transcript of an interview, a fictitious interview, of course. And the objective here is to do some analysis and to generate a kind of table of words by count. So I want to count each word, or count the number of times each word appears in the transcripts. And we're going to do that with native Python. There are packages out there. The collections package does this much quicker, but I want to show you how you do something like that line by line. And then I'm going to go and have my breakfast. Okay, let's think about this then. So let me just read the question again. Imagine you are analyzing transcripts of interviews. In this case, it's going to be a completely fictitious interview about me and my perfect Sunday. If you can tell me the film I'm referring to with that topic title, then you'll win a prize, or at least a thumbs up. Write a function to count the words, which we'll call count words, that reads the text file and returns a dictionary of word counts. Okay, we'll discuss more what a dictionary is in a second. It's basically a very posh list. Okay, I'm going to count how many times each word appears, and we're also going to print out the 10 top most common words. Test it on a short sample you create. So you can create your own. I use ChatGPT to create mine, and it did quite a spooky job of interviewing me. In fact, I'll show you what the transcript looks like. There it is. I'll put that on canvas for you as well. Right, so it's just a bunch of words basically. Right, so I need to process this somehow. Okay, I've created a Q7 file. I'm going to create a function that reads .text file and generates a word count summary. Okay. Def, I think we said word count words. I want to put in my file name, I think. Yeah. So the first thing we got to do here is read the file. Let's do that first. Actually, let's give ourselves a dot string as well. This function will read a .text transcript, generate a dictionary of word counts, and print out 10 most common words. Okay, brilliant. Let's read the file with open file name to read as F. Okay, let's do this line by line perhaps. Yes, lines equals f.read lines. Okay, that'll just read each of those lines out. Now I need to do a bit of cleaning here, I think. Let me just print those lines out. For line in lines, print line. So I'm going to just put a very basic loop there at the end of that function, just to make sure I can reproduce what is in the file in my terminal, and I'm going to call that count words. What am I doing? It's called Perfect Sunday. Okay, let's run it. Oh yeah, it is there. Right, so it's printed all that out in the terminal. Right, so I need to essentially divide everything in here into a big list of words. how am I going to do that? Well, I think the first thing I need to do, I need to do a bit of cleaning here, because I need to get rid of characters like this. And I know this one actually, incidentally, is very specific to ChatGPT. So that's called an M dash. I don't want question marks. I don't want apostrophes. I don't want colons, quotations. So I'm going to clean up each line in turn. Let's think about this. Let me think about this one. Right, first thing I'm going to do before I do anything is right at the top here, I'm going to create a new variable called word count. Okay, and I'm going to define this as an empty dictionary, which is a curly bracket. Now, a very quick note on dictionaries. A dictionary is an extremely useful object in Python, in any coding language actually, and it allows you to store what we call key value pairs. Okay, so think of a list, and it can only store values in some order. A dictionary can store values with some key. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to know all of the types of apple, I could have the key as apple, and then I have a list associated with that, which would be all the names of varieties of apple, for example. That's an example. In this context, it could be a word, so it could be the word apple. That's how original my brain is today. And then it could have a number associated with the number of times the word apple appears in my transcript. So hopefully this will become a bit more obvious as we go along, but you are going to be using these dictionaries a lot more in the future. And there is actually a very specific syntax in adding key values pairs to the dictionary or accessing those values via the key as well. So we'll do that here too. Okay, so let's have a think first. I want to I've read it, I'm lining lines, so I'm looping over each of those lines. I want to let me think about this. Right, so for every line I want to clean the line. Clean line. I want to remove the punctuation. And I want to convert to uppercase. Let's do that. How am I going to clean this punctuation? Well, I'm going to give it a list of characters for car in. Let's do full stop, comma, exclamation, question mark, exclamation mark. I also need a quotation mark. I can't, interestingly, it's going to be difficult for me to get rid of the things, so I'm going to use a single quotes here. And here. What have I done? Okay, that'll do. All right, let me just explain what I've done there. I've used a single quote, and then I've used a double quote. Because I couldn't use the double quotes because the double quote is a character I actually want to remove. So I've just used a single quote there. Oh, actually, it doesn't like that because for car in. Okay, I've got a few more characters I want to. I don't like the square brackets. I'm going to make sure there's no other brackets in there. Anything else? Oh, I don't like this M dash. So I haven't got that on my keyboard. So I'm going to. Oops. I'm going to copy and paste that as well. Okay, and probably one of those. I don't want a colon or a semicolon as well. What else can I see in there? That is going to take care of most of it, I think. Okay, that should do for now. So for car in car, I want to. Oops. I want to replace each of those characters with nothing. So line equals line dot replace car with nothing. Okay, so what that'll do is I'll go through each of those characters in turn. It will override my line with a cleaned version of it, and then I think at the end here as well I want to do line equals line dot upper dot strip. That will convert my line to uppercase, and it will strip out the white space at either end of the line. Okay, that should work. Let's see what happens if we print. If we print line equals lines. Okay. Let's see what happens if we print the line after that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Converted it to up, and it's gotten rid of a lot of the punctuation. Oh, I can see I've got. How do I get rid of that? I think I can get rid of it by doing an escape character like that. Okay. Let's run it again. Oh, it's still in there. Don't know. I have to look that one up later, right? Because I I don't want the apostrophes in there. I'm going to leave them in for now. We'll worry about that later. But mostly it's got rid of everything. Oh, it's got a star in there. Don't want the star. Let's tidy that up too. Still got the quotation marks in it. Interesting. Alright, I'm not going to stress too much about that. I'll go and figure that out later, okay? Or you can. You do it. You tell me how I'm going to get rid of those characters. Okay, so we're getting a bit closer, but now I need to do this word by word analysis. So I need to convert this whole thing to words. So for line in line, let's do this. Words equals line dot split. Now what that will do is it will split, and the split function or split method will by default split on the space, and it will create a massive list for containing every word in the line. So let's print that out. If I print out words here, you should see it become, yeah. So you can see I've got every word in a list here, okay? So now I want to count, though, this is the tricky bit. This is the bit that's making my brain hurt. So now, what I want to do is I want to have a kind of running count on how frequently each of those words appear. Okay. Right, we'll do this. We're going to do this. Okay. For line in line, for words and words. For word in words. Now you still see I'm still in the lines loop. I've got a loop inside a loop here now, so be careful. But for every line, I want to do this for every line, so I'm going to do it in here. I've tabbed it over once. For word in words, right? If so if I've already stored the word in my dictionary, how do I do that? Right, so if the word is in my word counts, if word in word counts, then how do I find it? A word count. Word counts, okay. Then I want to get the word out of the dictionary, and I want to add plus 1 to it. Else, if it doesn't exist, I want to create the word. Right, so let me just go through here. So basically this dictionary, the way I access it via a key is using this notation, very similar to how I'd access an item by indexing a list, but I'm using the actual word this time. And then if it exists, it already had a number associated with it, so I'm just going to add 1 to it. If it doesn't exist, I'm going to set the starting number as 1. Okay, I'm going to create this new key and value pair, and it will have occurred once. Okay, now let's just check our sanity, and we're going to return word counts, and I've got to be careful here to make sure this return statement is indented outside of the original for loop for the lines, and I'm going to I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to print out the results. Okay. Right, there we go. Let's just take a look at this. Right, so you can see it's got every single word, and it's got how many times they occurred. So mostly each word only occurs once. But you see that there's some words often. Something, I say something a lot, and obviously is highly featured. And my name is in here a lot as well, 19 times. Okay, so we can now do a further analysis to print out the top 10 of those. Now I've forgotten how to do that. Right, so for the last bit here, where I'm essentially trying to get the top 10 most frequently used words, I've totally ChatGPT'd this because I knew I'd need to use something like a lambda function to do it, but I'd forgotten how to do it. So that's totally fine. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to sort the words. So I want to sort out the words in order of the most frequently occurring. So let me just show you this. I'm creating a variable called sorted words. I'm using a function called sorted. This is the wrong variable name. I've gotten this straight from ChatGPT, and it's basically sorting all of the keys in my dictionary according to how frequently they occur. And actually it'll do that by default from small to large. So I want to reverse that and go from large to small. So it'll put the high frequencies first. And then if I print out sorted words, let's have a go. Print sorted words. That's better. That's better. So there is the most frequently occurring. I, a, Rob, and 2 of. So as expected, it's given really common words to begin with. I don't want to print everything out. I just want to print out the top 10. So how do I do that? I'm going to simply slice up this dictionary. That's my previous file. So for key value in sorted words, but I only want to print out values up to 10. Okay, so this sorted word is actually a list. So if I print that out, I can print out print key value, and that should print out everything in here. So I think, okay, I've run the function on the word analysis, and I've needed some extra code at the bottom to complete the mission. That should be okay. Let's see what happens. I've got an extra print statement somewhere printing out stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get rid of that. There we go. There are a Rob and 2 of interview for Sunday. Okay. But I think I've solved that. It was a bit whiffly, wasn't it? So forgive me for that. Try and work through the rest of the problems on your own or in the workshops, and I'll speak to you soon.